dawn light filtered through the narrow windows, pale and cold. The first floor had been clear of attacks for nearly an hour. No more creatures testing my barriers. No more wet thuds against the door. Just silence broken only by exhausted breathing from the survivors above. I was considering whether it was safe to rest when I heard footsteps on the stairs. Small, light, coming down instead of staying put like I'd told them. The young girl I'd saved appeared at the bottom step. Her face was pale, streaked with dirt and dried tears. She tugged at my sleeve with trembling fingers.
"There's something upstairs,"
she whispered.
"Above us, we can hear it moving."
My blood went cold. "What do you mean above you?" My voice came out sharper than I intended. "You're on the second floor. There's nothing above the second floor."
"We can hear it."
Her eyes were too wide, too terrified.
"Moving, something big."
I listened. Really listened past my exhaustion and the ringing in my ears from hours of casting. And I heard it. Wet sliding sounds from above. Massive weight shifting. The creak and groan of stone that was becoming something else. A third floor shouldn't exist. The tower was only 2 stories. I'd seen it from outside. 2 levels of solid stone and nothing more. But I heard movement up there. Something massive. Something that made the foundation shudder with each shift of its weight. I climbed the stairs on legs that shook. Every muscle ached. The ink accumulation made my thoughts fragment at the edges. But fear pushed me forward. The survivors huddled on the second floor. All of them staring up at the ceiling with expressions of pure terror. The stone above them pulsed, becoming translucent in sections, revealing organic matter where rock should be. Flesh, slime, things that used to be wood or metal or human, all merged together into architecture that breathed. The infection had built upward, transforming the tower's roof into something alive. Something that moved with horrible purpose. Something massive shifted up there. The foundation shuddered. Dust rained down from cracks spreading across the ceiling. I realized what was happening. The amalgamations outside hadn't just been attacking. They'd been merging, growing. And the largest had climbed the tower's exterior to position itself above us. We were trapped, surrounded below, hunted from above. Stairs. My voice came out sharp, command covering terror. Get down to the first floor immediately, now. The survivors scrambled toward the stairwell, grabbing children, helping the injured woman with the twisted ankle, moving with the desperate speed of prey. I backed toward the stairs, maintaining a protective barrier above them. Rainbow threads spread across the pulsing ceiling, trying to hold back whatever was coming. The ceiling split open, not breaking, dissolving. Stone becoming translucent goo that dripped like water, running down the walls in viscous streams. And it descended. A monstrous amalgamation, easily 12 feet tall, crashed onto the second floor with earth-shaking impact. Stone cracked beneath its weight. The entire foundation groaned. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't do anything but stare at the nightmare that should not exist. It was composed of at least 20 bodies. Maybe more. Impossible to count. All in various states of consumption. all held together by a central slime organism of unprecedented size. Human faces emerged from its torso at random angles, some still showing expressions of terror or pain, mouths opening and closing soundlessly. Others half dissolved, just eye sockets and teeth emerging from goo. Some positioned upside down or sideways, all aware, all trapped. I was going to be sick, actually going to vomit. This was wrong, so fundamentally wrong. Those were people, had been people, now just faces in a nightmare mass. Animal limbs jutted from its sides in chaotic profusion. Bear paws with claws extended. Bull hooves that cracked stone with each step. Deer legs bending backwards. Dog paws. Human hands grasping at nothing. Tree branches that had become fleshy appendages. The entire mass was a patchwork of solid and dissolved sections. One shoulder showed intact bear fur and muscle. The chest was completely translucent goo. Through it, I could see the chaos inside. Dozens of organs from different species. Multiple hearts beating in discordant rhythm. Lungs inflating and deflating. Intestines tangled like rope. Bones that connected to nothing but still moved with purpose. Eyes positioned randomly across the entire surface. Human eyes on what might be a thigh. Bear eyes emerging from the central torso. Bull eyes where a shoulder should be. Deer eyes on its back, all watching me independently. Its head was a fusion of 3 human faces. A bull's jaw. Something that might have been a dog. All partially dissolved and held together by translucent slime. Across its entire surface, pustules swelled and pulsed. Each one the size of a human fist. Filled with glittering particles visible through translucent membranes. Some were already bursting, releasing clouds of infectious particles that shimmered in the dawn light like toxic snow. This was a sporing form, near the end of its life cycle, preparing to reproduce. If those spores escaped the tower, they could infect the entire region, create dozens of new outbreaks. This entire nightmare would spread like plague. Get down. I screamed at the survivors. Cover your mouths. Don't breathe the spores. I threw myself at the thing with everything I had left. Binding threads erupted in torrents. Black oil transforming to rainbow light mid-flight. Wrapping around the nightmare's mismatched limbs. Trying to compress its central mass, attempting to contain the spore release before it was too late. The amalgam didn't scream, didn't roar, just advanced with methodical purpose. Each step deliberate and coordinated despite its chaotic construction. Slime dripped from every surface, acidic, hissing where it hit stone. Multiple mouths worked independently. Some human lips trying to form words. Others just gaping holes in the goo that leaked fluid. It reached toward me with a dozen hands. Some still flesh and bone. Others translucent goo showing skeletal structure. I created nets. The amalgam tore through them like spider silk. Its multiple limbs working in coordination. Slime-reinforced muscles providing strength no single creature should possess. I created crushing spheres. They barely dented its mass. Compressing sections just made the slime organism redistribute. flowing from crushed areas to intact ones, adapting in real time. Every spell cost more ink. Every second pushed me closer to complete dissolution. Black marks covered my visible skin now, spreading across my face in fractal patterns, down my neck, disappearing beneath my collar. My body flickered between solid and shadow, translucent one moment where I could see my own bones through dissolving flesh. Solid the next, the boundary between states becoming optional as the ink overwhelmed my system. I experienced all emotions simultaneously. Terror at the thing advancing toward me. Rage at the unfairness of dying here. Desperate love for these strangers I was protecting. Grief for the life I'd never have with Dane. Manic laughter at the absurdity of dying in a nameless village fighting a thing composed of people I'd never met. All of it happening at once until I couldn't tell which emotion was real. The amalgam reached for me. A dozen hands. Some flesh with recognizable human fingers. Others goo showing skeletal structure that moved like puppet strings. Tree branches that had become fleshy appendages grasping with root tendril fingers. Where its slime touched the stone floor, the rock began to dissolve, becoming organic matter, becoming part of the infection. Pustules across its surface swelled larger, some bursting and releasing glittering spore clouds. I deflected them with desperate barriers, knowing each spore could create a new outbreak if it touched an uninfected host. I realized with crystalline clarity that I couldn't win. Not like this. Not with conventional binding that just compressed or crushed or contained. The creature was too large, too adaptive, too fundamentally merged. The slime organism holding all those bodies together was a single entity now. Killing it required destroying that unity, severing the connections that made 20 bodies function as one. In a moment of desperate inspiration, I remembered the black amber from the caravan outburst. How I'd trapped a creature in dark crystal, suspending it between states. The memory was vivid, but the mechanism was a mystery. I'd mentioned it once during advanced theory class, and Master Theron had looked at me strangely. Said nothing about it being a known technique. Why wouldn't they teach something so effective? Unless they didn't know how it works. Unless I'd done something that shouldn't be possible. But if I cast it before, I could cast it again. I had to. I took a deep breath, trying to force my fragmenting consciousness back together. The terrified Liv, and the laughing Liv, and all the other competing voices. Focusing them into a single, desperate purpose. I didn't understand how black amber worked, but my body remembered. My magic remembered. I reached for that same instinct that saved me in the caravan. That moment of pure survival when theory didn't matter, and I just did what needed doing. I poured everything into the amalgam. All my ink flooding out in black torrents that didn't transform to rainbow light. All my terror and rage and desperate will to survive. And I screamed for it to stop. To freeze, to become something caught between life and death, suspended in the moment before either could claim it completely. Black oil erupted from my hands in torrents, not transforming to rainbow light, but staying dark, staying wrong. It flooded the amalgam's body through every point of contact, pouring into the slime organism, holding everything together. The creature convulsed. Its advance halted mid-step as the ink poured in, Where the black oil touched, something impossible happened. The translucent goo began to solidify. Not into flesh, not into glass, but into something else. Dark crystal that was neither fully solid nor fully liquid. Caught in a state of permanent suspension, the crystallization spread from the impact points like infection in reverse, up the creature's mismatched limbs, across its torso where human faces froze mid-scream, through the translucent sections where organs stopped pulsing and hung suspended in black crystal like specimens in glass. The bare paw crystallized mid-swipe. Claws extended forever. Human hands froze, reaching. Fingers spread. Tree branch appendages became dark wood encased in obsidian. The multiple faces across its surface locked in various expressions. Terror, rage, confusion. The last moments of humanity preserved, but not conscious. Not suffering, just stopped. The pustules crystallized mid-burst. The glittering spores caught in black crystal before they could spread. Each toxic particle suspended in darkness like stars in night sky. The entire 12-foot horror encased completely in perhaps 30 seconds, becoming a grotesque sculpture of what it was. All those bodies, all that consumed life, all the village's death, frozen in black amber that was translucent enough to see the nightmare inside but solid enough to contain it forever. The slime organism itself was visible through the crystal. The massive central mass that held everything together, preserved in its moment of reaching, its moment of hunger, stopped before it could reproduce. I almost collapsed, but remained standing the instant the crystallization completed. My body flickered violently between solid and shadow. Consciousness fragmenting into competing voices. I was dissolving. Finally, after holding it back for hours, the survivors backed away in terror. I'd become as much monster as the things I killed. Rainbow light leaked from my skin where it had gone translucent. I was laughing and weeping simultaneously, my form losing definition as the ink won. One part of my fractured mind thought the black amber was beautiful, like art, like something precious preserved in crystal. Another part screamed that it was horror, abomination, that I'd created something worse than death. A third laughed at the cosmic joke of it all. A fourth just wanted Dane. Wanted him so desperately. Wanted his ash to balance this. Wanted him to hold me while I fell apart. I saw movement through the destroyed roof above. Another massive amalgamation dropped down into the tower. Not yet sporing, but almost large enough. 8 feet tall, composed of a dozen bodies. Slime dripping from its fused mass as it oriented on me. My fractured consciousness responded in chaos. One part laughed at the cosmic joke of surviving the boss, only to die to reinforcements. Another wept at the unfairness. A third exulted in the beauty of my black amber creation. A fourth despaired utterly. I knew there was nothing more I could do. No magic left. No strength remaining. Just dissolution claiming me by inches while a fresh horror lumbered closer. This was it. This was how I died. Alone. Dissolving. In a nameless village. I'd never see Dane again. Never feel his ash balance my ink. Never know if 6 months would have brought us back together. The amalgamation lunged. Then a spear of blinding silver light descended from above like divine judgment. It punched through the amalgamation's center mass with impossible precision. The creature didn't just die. It split cleanly in two and boiled away into gray motes of ash that drifted like snow. The slime organism completely unmade in a single strike. Standing in the doorway where the creature had been was a tall man silhouetted against dawn light. My fragmenting mind thought for a moment it might be Dane. But no, this man was taller, leaner, not built with Dane's heavy muscle. He moved with fluid grace as he stepped over the dissipating ash. His voice cut through my confusion.
Hold on, yeah?
The words were casual, almost cheerful, incongruous with the nightmare around us. More amalgamations started pouring down through the broken roof. Smaller ones, 4 to 6 bodies each, but enough to kill everyone in the tower. I didn't understand how they got up there, how they climbed the exterior stone. But there they were, dropping through the opening one after another with wet thuds. 3, 4, 5 of them converging on the survivors huddled at the stairs. The tall man didn't seem concerned. Then a woman dropped down through the roof beside him with acrobatic grace. A binder. Beautiful in the way sunset is beautiful. Her movements fluid and confident. Rainbow threads erupted from her hands before she even fully landed, wrapping around the descending amalgamation's mid-fall.
Took you long enough.
The man said. His tone was teasing, warm.
You dropped down first.
Her voice had an accent I couldn't place. Musical.
I had to secure the perimeter.
Excuses.
They moved like dancers. Like partners who'd fought together so long they didn't need words. The man's spear flashed silver, cutting through amalgamations with surgical precision. Each strike unmade slime organisms completely, reducing horrors to drifting ash. The woman's binding threads wrapped and crushed with devastating efficiency, but controlled, careful, making sure spilled goo didn't splash towards survivors. More figures dropped through the roof. A team, 6 total. 3 dyad pairs moving with professional coordination.